Hello, lovely people. Let me know if you're there. Do let me know. And also let me know if you can spot what's missing. I know, it's tricky. So yeah, let me know in the comments if you can spot what is missing today. Hi Carmela! Hi Nicole! Hi Sue! Ah, lovely people. So nobody spotted. You've got to look quite closely, obviously, to find what's missing. But I can wait. I'm not going to be impatient. We're talking resilience today, which should be kind of fun. I'm going to share. Exactly, Sue. Yes, Carmela, that'll be Barbara. We have a missing Barbara because Barbara is at the airport in Johannesburg. So not really appropriate for her to be zooming at the moment. So it's just me today. And as I say, it's actually quite a nice one for me to do because I was going to share a story really to illustrate what we're talking about today with resilience, because it's a much misunderstood thing in my opinion. But first thing I need to say to everybody is last week we said we were going to be launching Inner Compass this week. We're actually going to hang fire for a couple of weeks. And it just keep an eye on your inbox. It is coming and it's going to be blooming epic, and it will really follow on nicely for the last 3 lives that we've done. But yeah, that'll be coming in September now for reasons. Okie dokie. So how is everybody? Oh, Barbara's just sent me a message. I don't know if you heard the beep then, to say hi to everybody. Especially those of you that worked out that she was the missing link today. Actually, that sounds really bad. She's not the missing link at all. She's Barbara and she's lovely, but she says hello anyway. Okay, so has anybody ever told you that you are such a strong person? You're amazing, you're so strong. If they have, pop a pineapple in the chat. So even if you feel like you're literally stuck together with sticky tape, if it wasn't for chocolate, you'd be losing your shit right now. You're screaming from the inside, but they're telling you, you're so strong. I've had a lot of that over the last couple of years, and I'll tell you why in just a second. Just seeing if there's any pineapples coming. On the other hand, have you ever been told that you need to toughen up? You need to be more resilient. I've been told that. I remember being told that in my previous life as a teacher by the head teacher, when I was a head of maths, and the pressures, particularly in COVID, were just immense and horrific. And yes, I did have a bit of a cry and was told I needed to toughen up. And I felt like crap. It was horrible. But anyway, so if you've been told you need to toughen up, put a tomato in the comments. And just so that you're aware, I'm not going to be telling you today that you need to toughen up, because you don't. In fact, we're going to be talking about the exact opposite of that, to be honest. So we've got a couple of pineapples already. So you've been told you're strong. And it's weird, isn't it? It's like someone like me, and Carmela as well, you'd be told, oh, you're so strong. And you've been told you need to toughen up. And it's like, hang on, both of those things can't be true. I'm literally the same person. And even if you've only ever been told you need to toughen up, that doesn't mean that, there's anything wrong and that you should do, because it kind of misses the point. Now, when we went to the conference together the other week, and Carmela, you were there, and it was very much about the theme was about resilience. But Andy Hale, as always, put a really different light on things in terms of actually, should we be being more resilient? Is that really what we need to be doing, or is it something else that's missing? So, and that's kind of what I really wanted to share with everybody here so we can chat about it. So, resilience, there's so many myths. It's not about just keeping going in the face of obstacles, which looks heroic, but actually it's exhausting, it's stressful, it's rubbish for our health, our mental health, and our physical health. Yeah, Kamala said it was her mind blown moment. I totally agree. And it's something that I've believed for an awfully long time, particularly since that you need to be tougher moments that I had in work, because I'm pretty tough, actually. That's not the point. You're missing the point. It's not about resisting. It's not about trying to not do stuff or pushing against things. Pushing back. It's one of the quotes that Andrew used was from Brené Brown, and part of it said, "Grit without grace is destructive." It's not just about being stubbornly bloody-minded and getting through stuff. It's not about avoiding things. It's not about avoiding the challenges that come our way. And also, it's not something fixed. You are not a resilient person or a not resilient person. You're just a person who finds yourself in different circumstances and reacts in different ways to different circumstances. And it's also not bouncing back to who you were before. That doesn't happen. So the idea you just get on with it and then bounce back all by yourself, it's not resilience, it's isolation, to be honest. So there's a kind of paradox that goes around with resilient, and this can feel quite surprising. And this, for me, was a mind blown moment. We can't predict who's going to be more resilient to trauma or stress. It's not something that you have. It's something that you do over time in a particular context. So it's about being able to regulate, self-regulate, but be flexible. It's about the little things, and this is huge. It's about getting support. It's about what perspective you take on things, and it's about developing coping strategies. So what are the biggest predictors of how you might cope in a particularly stressful situation? So I mean, there's things like how you view and engage in the world. Obviously, that's going to be, a factor. The quality of your support network and the support that you are given is massive. Somebody that may be perceived as not being resilient, actually, they're not just not going to get the support. They're not getting the support that they need. And that support then enables you to develop healthy coping strategies. It's not just about being super strong. So real resilience, how does it feel? It feels like you're being held. It feels like you've got space to pause and regroup. And it feels like having the tools to adjust to challenge rather than just overriding it. And it's about knowing that you're not alone. So you don't have to earn support by hitting rock bottom. We hear that a lot, don't we? When someone gets the support when they hit rock bottom. And unfortunately, a lot of the support structures that we have around us, that's kind of how they work. We have to have dire straits before anything will actually happen. So I'm going to share with you guys a very, very personal story of things that have happened to me and my family over the last couple of years that have tested me beyond anything that I ever thought possible. So I've got two children. I have a son and a stepson. My son, he is 25 now. He's just turned 25. And he's the one that I'm going to be talking about. And he has, since he was young, he's a neurodiverse, neurospicy character. He's very ADHD. He's dyspraxic. So he's got quite a lot going on anyway. Thank you, Carmela. The group's made you more resilient regarding reactive dogs, and that's because that support network, isn't it? And when Inner Compass does come out, that's going to then give you even more structure and support, and that's why we're doing it. That's the exact reason. Anyway, so yeah, neurospicy boy, very clever, super duper clever. He went to Cambridge University, and while he tried like various medications for ADHD and they didn't really suit him. So, but he found some coping mechanisms and carried on. But he had lots of ups and downs while he was there. He got through it. He managed to, come out with a really good degree, did brilliantly, and then was living in London with his girlfriend. He wasn't really sure what he wanted to do, so he did some bar work. He was a teaching assistant for a while, which he absolutely loved, various things. And then when was it? About a year and a half ago, maybe, a bit over that, he and his girlfriend that he was living with split up. Well, actually, it started before that. It started with the reasons why they split up. He was exhibiting some extremely bizarre behaviours, which she was finding it understandably really difficult to cope with. Anyway, they ended up splitting up, and he was massively depressed. She phoned me up. She was worried for his safety. I dropped everything, drove 4 hours down to London and went and got him and brought him home. Now, he couldn't stay home for very long because he had, at that moment, he'd got a pet snake. That was still in his room, and he needed to make sure that it was being looked after and had enough water. So he stayed with us for a couple of days and then said, I've got to go home. I'm going to come back that same evening. But when he got back there, he chose that he was going to stay for a little while longer. So that's what happened. That's what he did. And then he moved house, and I helped him to move no, actually, that's a lie. I didn't help him to move house, did it all by himself. He moved house, so he was somewhere completely new and different. And he was still working and pootling along. Okay, he then got a kitten, and I thought, well, that's a bit weird. What's he got a kitten for? He's in the middle of London. But he was loving this kitten. It was obviously his, working better for him than a girlfriend at the moment, which was absolutely lovely. And then he decided, he again went into a really dark place, and he phoned me up and he said, I just want to come home, Mum. I just want to come home. So again, I got into my car and I went to get him, and this was going to be a permanent move. So I went to get him and the snake and the kitten. We packed my car up to the rafters. I think, when did we get there to pack everything up? It was about 1 o'clock in the morning. It was a very long night. We packed everything up. I took him home. So we had this kitten, we had this snake, and we had Sam home. And it was great because I knew he was safe. I knew that he was with me and he could be safe. But some slightly odd things happened while he was there. So one of them was, meanwhile, incidentally, I missed that really crucial point. He had been struggling. Now, for those of you that are in the UK, you'll know that to get mental health support for adults on the NHS, there are huge waiting lists at the moment. It's just in a total mess. So I decided to refer him to a private psychiatrist, and he got a diagnosis of bipolar disorder, type 2, I think it is. Which kind of explained some of the slightly odd behaviours. Anyway, he came home and there were some very odd things happening. So there was one time when I heard crashes in the middle of the night. I went down to the kitchen and he was there in his pants with a measuring jug full of red wine. And in the other hand, he had a bottle of Cinzano that Matt had been given for his birthday that nobody likes. And it's like, and I had to talk him down from that. So I talked him down from that. He was fine. He went to sleep. The next morning, he had no memory of it whatsoever. No idea what had happened. About a week later, the kitten he'd left the door open. The kitten, who wasn't allowed out yet, had escaped. This was again in the middle of the night. He then phoned me, woke me up in the middle of the night and said, Poppy's got out. I'm running after her down the road in my pants. I'm thinking, I'm so hoping the neighbours aren't watching. Anyway, he managed to get Poppy, brought her back. She was safe. He was safe. He went to bed again in the morning, no memory. And that time he hadn't drunk anything. So it's like, this bipolar is becoming a little bit of a problem. So anyway, he started to take, more of the medication and he seemed to be getting more stable. And then came the worst day of my life. So just to let you know, so that you know that the trigger warning is he's fine. Okay, so I just need to reassure you, he is fine today. I've just spoken to him on the phone. So you don't need to worry about that. But it was still horrific. So Matt and I had gone to London for the day to go and see the Christmas lights. So it was just before Christmas, 24. And I can remember it so clearly. I was sitting eating a really nice sausage bap from the market outside the National Gallery. I was sitting on the steps. He phoned me up and he said, one of my friends in London is having a party, so I'm going to go on the train down to London this evening. I'll be staying overnight and I'll come back tomorrow. And I thought, you know what, he's a grown-up, he can do whatever he likes. So yeah, okay, just let me know how you are. So got back home, there was nobody there, of course, because he told me that he'd gone. I was in charge of Kitten, I was in charge of Snake, all was well. And then in the middle of the night, it must have been about 3 a.m, for some reason I woke up and I looked at my phone and it was ringing and it was Sam, it was my son. And I picked it up and he was incoherent. I could not understand what he was saying. And eventually it turned out that he had taken a massive cocktail of drugs. And, this is a young man that has, smoked weed and that kind of likes to drink. But these were drugs that he would never even contemplate. It was cocaine, it was ketamine, it was benzos, it was like huge. So I'm like, oh, holy moly, I need to get him an ambulance there. Now, he's at a friend's house. I didn't know where this friend lived. I knew he was in London somewhere. That's literally all I knew. So I woke Matt up. He then got onto the ambulance service. So he called 999 and got transferred to the London ambulance service. Meanwhile, I was very slowly and carefully talking Sam through to try and find some post with the address on. Given that his memory was lasting about 5 seconds at this point, it wasn't very easy, but eventually we managed to get it and I managed to get an address. I tried to get him to go and wake someone up, but every time he just kept forgetting what he was doing. It was impossible. So then I just ended up, just kept talking to him. They put the ambulance out. It was a priority one, but of course they're busy. It still took 2 hours to come. And for that 2 hours, I just had to talk to him. And he was starting to sound vaguely more coherent in time. I made sure he wasn't, he didn't eat anything, didn't lie down, didn't do anything like that. Was hard, not getting him to not lie down. And we would just spent the time together, looking out of his window, looking for car lights, looking for blue lights, looking for all that kind of stuff. And eventually, 2 hours later, the ambulance turned up. The paramedics were there. He forgot to put the phone down. The paramedics didn't know I was there, so I was listening to everything. He was talking to the paramedics, okay, and then he put the phone down, and it's like, right, okay, I know he's safe, he's with the professionals. But I knew I needed to go down there. So I went, got in the car, didn't know which hospital I was going to. So I'm desperately trying to message him, which hospital are you going to? Which hospital are you going to? Eventually I found out. I'm driving down there thinking, oh crap. So 4.5 hours later, I got to the hospital in London, managed to find somewhere to park. That's always a bit of a stress in London. And went into the sort of reception area in A&E. Said he'd been brought in by ambulance. Where is he? And they said he's in Majors. And that, my heart just sank. I went, oh my God. I've never been so scared before that he was going to die. I mean, it was horrible. But anyway, there he was on a drip, sitting in a corridor, looking fairly belligerent and absolutely starving hungry. So I checked he could have something to eat, and we just had to wait for him to see the psychiatric team to see what they were going to do. So that took a little while. We had something to eat, and then we came home. So that was like the darkest day. And then things started to get a little bit better. We had a couple of, so that was definitely a manic. The thing with bipolar, you have manic episodes, you have depressive episodes. The depressive episodes, like we'd had before, are horrible, but manic episodes are truly terrifying. It turns out that when he got the kitten, he was manic. He just does the most bizarre things when he's manic, and then afterwards can't really remember it and doesn't know what order they happened in. So we found out, kind of, at least that's what happened. So he came home. And then he decided, right, I'm going to sort myself out. So he decided he wanted to do a master's degree and move to Melbourne in Australia. And I thought, I don't want you that far away. But actually he did. It's been the best thing he's done. The care he's had there is been a lot better than what he was getting there. They've changed the drugs he's on. He's much more stable. He has had 2 manic episodes since he's been there, one of which involved buying rats to breed them. That was how he's going to make his fortune. He seems to buy animals when he's manic. But there's a hospital there and a special mental health A&E ward that he can just go to. Since then, touch wood, touching lots of wood, we've had a few months of stability. He's got a job. He's doing really well in his master's course. Everything is going well. Now, that's the full story. And throughout that, obviously, I've kept turning up to do these lives. I've been turning up to work with Barbara. I've been doing my one-to-ones in person, and I've been trying to grow my business. Now, have I been as on it as I would be normally? Probably not. I've definitely prioritized differently, 100%. And I've had a lot of people say, I cannot believe that you are still sane and that you've gone through all this and how well you've coped and just kept everything going. You are so resilient. I've heard that word. You've been so resilient. Well done, you, blah, blah, blah. But here's the truth of it. I've had the most amazing support network. I've had, of course, my husband who's been there every single step of the way. I've had Barbara. She has been incredible. Like the number of times when we've been trying to work together and I've got a phone call from Sam and it's like, I've got to go just in case there's a drama. And sometimes there has been. Or when there has been a drama and I've just said, look, can you do X, Y, and Z? I haven't got capacity right now. And she's been there for me. So having that support, that's what resilience is. That's got nothing to do with me and me being like an amazing person. It's having the friends and having the family. Actually, my mum and dad, they've been brilliant too. And my sister. So, I've been so lucky because I've got that support. And not everybody has that support. And, being resilient, as Andy said, it's a privilege. And it's been a privilege for me because I've got that network around me and I am so bloody lucky. And if I can be that support and that network around other people, then brilliant. And if it's for you guys with your reactive dogs, which isn't the same as, having major mental health crises, of course it isn't, but it's bloody stressful and you still need those people around you. So that's one of the reasons why we do it. And that's why, actually, if you feel you're not coping and you think, actually, I need to be stronger. No, you don't need to be stronger. You need to get more support. You need to be supported. You need to feel held. You need to feel that people are there with you. And like Carmela said, getting that from our group, getting that from our courses, that is what it's all about. It's not about you just getting through stuff regardless. And you know what? Chatting about it like that just then is so flipping cathartic. I feel so much better. Because at the moment we're in a super good place. I've got my tickets to go out to Melbourne in February, which I cannot wait. We're planning little adventures we're going to go on when we're there. And he's really happy and really pleased that he made the best possible decision. So yeah, that's kind of my little resilience story. That it's not, the fact that I could get through that was because of the support that I had, and that I'm bloody lucky. So yeah, so when we, as I say, in a few weeks we'll launch the Inner Compass, which is going to help you to self-regulate. It's going to be a container for overwhelm. You've got the group already, use it. You could reach out to Barbara and I, use that. You matter too. You are so important. Without you, where are your dogs going to be? They're not going to be in the place that they need to be. So you have to have that support network, and you have to have that privilege of being held around you in order for you to cope. And if you don't feel that you have that, reach out in the group. Our group is a safe space. Barbara and I make sure that that's what it's for. So yeah, I'm really glad to have you guys as well, because I'll be honest with you, coming on with these lives with you people that, especially the people that are there live, and I feel that I know you guys, and it gives both Barbara and I a safe space as well, because we can just be us. We're not a different version of us. We are just us, and you guys support us as well. So yeah, that's it. That's kind of what I wanted to witter on about today. So I spoke to Sam about sharing the story. He's massively supportive of building awareness for mental health and helping people to not feel that it's such a hush-hush topic anymore. It's an illness just the same as any other illness. So, he's been there and he's passionate about, helping other people now with how they're feeling. So yeah, I'll just breathe for a second. And has anybody got any questions? Please do say. Thanks for the standing ovation, Carmela. That makes me feel gooey inside. Just double checking. So yeah, resilience, rishmillions. Pile of nonsense in it, really. But yeah, if you ever hear anybody sounding overwhelmed or anything in the group, signpost them to this live. Hopefully it'll help them. We'll be signposting to Inner Compass as well. The more people we can get that have access to that, the better, really. Super. Okie dokie. Yeah, Shawnee. Having support is everything. And it can come in all sorts of different ways, can't it? Family isn't always blood. I've got lots of friends who are estranged from blood family, but get their support and their family elsewhere with different types of groups and that kind of thing. Oh, it's a pleasure, Sue. And guess what, Sue? In February, we will be on the same continent. Hurrah. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, I'll be able to join Barbara for a live when I'm actually in Melbourne. I think that would be super duper fun. I'm also going to have a proper 2 weeks off, so I'm not going to do a huge amount, so don't worry. It'll be the first time I've had a proper break in a few years. So I'm very lucky, but I would kind of like doing the live as well because it's so much fun. Right, lovely people, it's been a joy as always. Thank you for listening to my therapy session. I will see you with Barbara next week. I cannot wait. I'll be planning what we're gonna talk about over the next couple of days, and that'll be bobbed in the group. So look after yourselves. Don't forget, we're there. I know you lot are there for each other as well, and that's how it should be. So I'll see you next week.